Oh, are we live? I was just having fun. So let me just make sure that all of this is muted. Always a little fun. Always trying to have a little fun. We have to break up the monotony and the misery that is this world sometimes to smile and laugh it off. So let me say hello to a bunch of people in the room. Divine Renegade. And look at that. All the way from Pensacola, Malia Bros shows up. And she says, hi, everybody. Thank you for all the good vibes during our drive across the U.S. to Pensacola, Florida. We arrived safely. Grateful for you all. Yes, we are. Scrub. Yo, we see you, Scrub. And hopefully we'll get to see you again while we're here. Same place. Let's say hello to Love from Ethiopia. Peace to you. Silabi Wetma, hello. Carol Dryling, Tommy, good to see you, Tommy. I got your text, I appreciate that. Amy Miller, Maurice Moore, Curtis Lee, Cindy Rodriguez, Steve Schechtman, Andrew Long, let's see, R4 FLA, whatever that is. I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. Cindy Rogerio, 0369, Michelle Mullen, Francis Lozen, Bob Rose, Welsh Warrior, good to see you. Love to you from the UK as well, or from the US to the UK. Keith Simmons, love to you all. Zach's Will, Misty Haven, Deep DEA, Gospel Rangers. Good to see the Gospel Rangers out there. Everybody, check out Gospel Rangers. They're great folks. So just allowing some people here to flow into the room. We've got 200 plus and counting. So I'm going to try to let some folks come in because I think that this is going to be really important stuff to show. It's something that we've been paying close attention to during the course of our drive and made it a little bit more entertaining. But it's amazing to me just how little people actually see what is going on. So let me try to explain to you in the simplest forms. I don't need to approach this in the same way that every other talking head on the news is approaching it. But there are some people covering these angles and these portions of what has taken place. So this will simply help you to see what actually discernment really is. Because when people speak of discernment, they think of discerning the word or discerning something that they're hearing, but really what it is it always points to what I've spoken of from day one, which is the attributes or the fruits, which is why Christ said, you will know them by their fruits. So pay attention to what they produce. Pay attention to the motives of the hearts, not what is said, but why something is said and how people react. Because the most amazing thing to me is you've heard me speak of projection, how we project onto people things that we see through ourselves. So when somebody says to me, you think you're so great, obviously they don't know me at all. And so they're putting themselves in my seat and saying, if I were doing what that guy is doing and people were saying the things to me that they're saying to him, I would think I'm pretty special. So they make the accusation against me that I think I'm very special. It's why we're not supposed to judge, because when you judge, do not judge others lest you judge yourself. So it's a lesson to not expose yourself. So, and right now we see a whole bunch of people just exposing themselves. They're literally pulling down their pants and saying, look at me. So let me just start off with a little bit of interesting things. Obviously, all of you are probably familiar right now with what's happening with the president and this call with the Ukraine, and that somehow he was trying to quid pro quo his agenda and hold something back, and he was trying to manipulate or trying to blackmail essentially a government of another country into this is the narrative that they want you to hear, that he was trying to blackmail another country to dig up dirt on a rival of his, a political rival. So they would say he's trying to benefit politically. Now, I want to start off by saying this. Never have I been a fan of Trump. I've met him many times in the past. I've not been a fan of the man itself. Do I think that he's smart? Sure. Do I think that he has business acumen? Yes. And the way that he wants to run a business, he does great. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good. But I've never been a fan of him, particularly even as president. So understand that when I approach this, I'm approaching it not as a person that hates Trump, just a person that's indifferent. And myself and Malia have experienced very similar things with this event because it triggers something in you that right now what is taking place, there is a rush. And I'm going to show you some articles where the Democrats are rushing. I mean, they have a real clock that they're fighting against. Why would they want to rush the impeachment? Why would Nancy Pelosi say, no, 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 no impeachment, no impeachment, no impeachment, no impeachment, with an event that they said they had a bunch of evidence on with Russiagate? So they didn't impeach him when they said that they had all this evidence. And now they have something that they have no evidence. In fact, the evidence that they do have isn't evidence because, number one, it's a third-party anonymous person. It's third party. So they're willing to go and initiate impeachment, which is really mutual destruction politically. Impeachment doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the country. It doesn't help anybody. It's never helped. Not one time in the history of this country. In fact, the person that it typically helps is the person that they're trying to impeach. President Clinton's ratings were at its highest after the impeachment process. And for those that think that Clinton wasn't impeached, he was actually impeached. He just wasn't removed from office. Now, on the contrary, is that Nixon, people think Nixon was impeached. He actually wasn't impeached. He resigned before they could impeach him. But people will still call that impeachment because he reacted to the threat. So just giving you a little bit of background on all of this. The most important thing to look at with this is why they're reacting this way. Now, why would the Democrats so quickly jump to something with absolutely no evidence whatsoever? And then once the transcript for the call is released, you have mainstream media parroting that there is really nefarious stuff happening in this call. Well, if you've read it, and I have the transcript and we can go through that, you're really not going to hear anything that they're saying. However, I'm going to play something for you, audio, where you will actually hear exactly what they're saying. You will hear the accusation. You will hear the blackmail. You will actually hear what they're talking about. The difference is it's not Trump. So what is happening right now is a massive race. There is a race for this information. There is a race to react. There is a race to destroy Trump. Why? All of a sudden, they're in this very, very time-limited space to destroy Trump and get him out of office, and fast. So what you're going to see right here, I'm going to show you. Let me just get to this tab right here. In sharing this right here, Democrats' eye, quick impeachment probe of Trump as freshmen push for focus on Ukraine. Okay, so this is talking about Nancy Pelosi. Now, when I told you that everybody's reacting, even mainstream media, I'm going to play you this video here, and this is Tucker Carlson, who is responding to a report. I'll just let Tucker speak for itself and his guest, and then we'll go from there.
So this Ukraine story seemed to come out of nowhere, and there's still really no consensus on what major parts of it mean. For example, legal experts appear to be split even tonight about whether the president's phone call with the Ukrainian president was illegal. So we wanted to get to the bottom of that, obviously. So last night, we asked Joe DeGenova on the show. He's a former U.S. attorney, and we put that question to him. He said, no, there's no evidence it's illegal at all. Well, that statement and some accompanying statements caused quite a firestorm, and so we've asked Joe DeGenova to come back tonight for an update. Joe, thanks so much for coming on tonight. So I want for our viewers who are not familiar with what exactly happened, to know. So here's a quick update. So yesterday, Judge Andrew Napolitano, who is a legal analyst at Fox and a very nice guy, I will say, I've always liked him, went on one of our daytime shows and declared that the president's phone call with the head of Ukraine was a crime. Here's what he said.
It is a crime for the president to solicit aid for his campaign from a foreign government.
So that would be that to which the president has admitted is in and of itself a crime.
Yes.
So that definitely.
I'm just going to say, think about this. This guy is a former judge. Now, Andrew Napolitano has always been fairly balanced, and I would call him fairly accurate. But in this case, he's making a judgment that just doesn't exist. He's making a judgment as to the motive behind the call, and never is the motive actually really spoken. He's insinuating, he's suggesting that the president was having that call to help him politically. Now, the president would have to be concerned that he might lose re-election. He would have to be concerned that his opponent was actually a good opponent, that he was a worthy opponent, that he could actually challenge him. I don't think anybody, not anyone, thinks that Joe Biden is actually a worthy opponent to Trump, regardless of what you think of either of them. But Joe Biden is clearly not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So with that said, he is assuming that he knows what his motive it is, that he is saying these things to somebody in order to get him to react, to cause something that would allow him to benefit politically in his campaign. However, that is not the case at all. This has nothing to do with Biden's ability to beat or to lose against Trump. This has nothing to do with an election whatsoever. The one thing that you'll learn from Trump in this whole thing is that he is actually very confident and calculated. So I'm going to give Trump a lot of accolades, and I'm going to tell you that right now, myself and a lot of other people are probably bigger supporters of Trump than they've ever been. I've never been a supporter, but today I'm supporting him, but with a caveat, because I'm going to tell you here at the end of this video why this is also incredibly dangerous and how we get wrangled into making decisions for really bad things, because this doesn't end well regardless of which direction it goes. So let me get to this, and I'm going to ask you to stick with me and follow. This is, again, not a Burger King agenda. You can't have the truth you want in 5 minutes or less, and you can't have it your way. It is the truth is the truth. It is what it is. You can digest it. I'm not going to make an assumption. I'm just going to let these people speak for themselves and let you then have discernment. Because when you are discerning, you are detecting innuendo. You are detecting suggestion. So I'm going to explain to you, and this is something that Malia and I talk about often, and that what is actually wicked. What does wicked mean? The word wicked means bent, or in some cases twisted or distorted. So you could take a picture of a person standing, and I've used the scenario. I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody, and I said, you could have a picture of me standing with jeans on and a white t-shirt and smiling. And you could ask a person, do you see this picture? What is that guy doing? He's standing there taking a picture wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Well, then the person would make suggestions. Well, what you don't know maybe is this. He doesn't like blue jeans. So why is he wearing the blue jeans? He begins to suggest things. He's not wearing them because he's trying to do something else. He'll make a suggestion. And do you see his eyes? His eyes, he has a different agenda going on. So all of a sudden, you begin to make something, a different version of something take place, regardless of whether it's present or not. It doesn't have to be present. The mere suggesting of it. And why is this the case? We are creators. So how do we work on behalf of the enemy and create something that is evil, even when we think we're doing good? We do it by power of suggestion. We become creators on behalf of the enemy. The enemy is a liar, so the enemy doesn't actually speak truth. The enemy allows your mind to gravitate towards the lie and create the lie. So let me get this straight. And I wish I had my whiteboard here, but I'll live without it. The way this functions is that a person making these suggestions is creating a new reality. You even listening and allowing yourself to accept a version of something. Accepting a version of something that has no evidence of it, but you're accepting it in your creative mind. So now this person speaks these bullshit lies through suggestion and makes these suggestions. And what they're asking you to do is imagine with me, if you will. Imagine, create with me, if you will, a nefarious thing that this guy is doing. Now, when two or more are gathered, they have created something that was a lie and they've made it a potential reality. And the more people they can get to believe this suggestion, the more real it becomes, which is really precisely how history gets written by the winners. When history gets written by the winners, it's not written because it's truthful. It's written because they remanufacture, they rewrite history, even though it didn't happen. It didn't happen like that at all, but it becomes the reality of what happened because the minds of the creators of the world have accepted it. And if you can, as the enemy's operative, convince people to accept something that isn't real, it becomes real to all of those people. They begin living like it's real. They begin acting like it's real. They begin reacting like it's real. So those that write history because they won and rewrite it, well, that's just lies. So being able to detect how this works is what I'm going to show you. Now, what's happening right now is the most powerful people and the most polished, actually, in politics. These people are polished at their bullshit. Polished. They're really good at it. They're crumbling. And I mean running like rats fleeing a sinking ship. There is big trouble going on. Now I'm going to play, let me find this if I can locate this. I'm just going to play a quick clip here of your favorite woman in the world. This is Hillary Clinton. Now, this was retweeted by Jason Chaffetz, who is an elected official, and he's obviously a Republican, doesn't like Hillary Clinton. But listen to what she says here, and look at her face and look at her demeanor. Hold on, let me make sure I got volume.
This occupant of the Oval Office poses a clear and present danger to our future, to our democracy. This occupant of the Oval Office poses a clear and present danger to our future, to our democracy.
To our future, and then mentions to our democracy. So the democracy that she's speaking in the future that she's speaking of is really her own. Now, you can see right here, Dems in a rush. Very few hearings, scorched earth defense. They're expecting a scorched earth defense by Trump. Now, what does that scorched earth mean? I know this is taking a little while to get to this point, but trust me, when you get here, you're going to understand it. So let me close that out so I'm not confused by that. Now, I'm going to play for you something. You've all heard what they're trying to say that Trump did. So let's play Adam Schiff here, who is saying what Trump actually did. Now, is he saying what he actually did, or is he doing what I mentioned earlier? Let's listen.
On this and on that, I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American...
Schiff is talking about the phone conversation that Trump is having with the current Ukraine president.
Law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in character, what the president was trying to communicate.
He's telling you what the president was trying to communicate, as if he knows.
President of Ukraine. It would be funny if it wasn't such a graphic portrayal of the president's oath of office. But as it does represent a real betrayal, there's nothing the president says here that is in America's interest, after all. It is instead the most consequential form of tragedy, for it forces us to confront the remedy the founders provided for such a flagrant abuse of office: impeachment. Now, this matter would not have come to the attention of our committee. And so what happened on that call?
Just listen one more time.
Zelensky begins by ingratiating himself, and he tries to enlist the support of the president. He expresses his interest in meeting with the president and says his country wants to acquire more weapons from us to defend itself. And what is the president's response? Well, it reads like a classic organized crime shakedown. Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the president communicates.
The essence of what the president communicates. And in not so many words, he's going to tell you why he doesn't actually just read from the document. Why wouldn't he just read from the transcript? Why must he have innuendo and suggestion? Not a thing that he says within this innuendo and suggestion is remotely what was spoken. But let's keep listening.
We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent. Understand? Lots of it.
I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, and lots of it. Not only was that never insinuated, it wasn't even remotely spoken. And we can go through this, and we will. But I wanted you to hear this, and I'm going to continue playing this for good reason.
On this and on that, I'm going to put you in touch with people, not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked.
Now you've heard this. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on the Ukraine and the Democratic Party and why they're acting this way, just so you know. So I'm just going to give a summary here. We're not going to make this, we've got a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing here, just trying to get settled here in Pensacola. So I didn't want to spend 2 hours on here, but I wanted to ignite your thinking so you could then begin searching and seeing these things for yourself, because it's far more detrimental than you know right now. There is, first of all, number one, this is a beautiful and very well orchestrated distraction away from Epstein and that whole nonsense. So right now you still have Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the madam, of course, for Epstein. None of these people, none of the other people have been questioned or interviewed or anything. No one's being convicted. That has totally gone away. This massive sex trafficking of underage girls throughout the world by some of the most powerful people just somehow slipped right off the table. It's not even part of the dialogue for anything. So very well done, guys, and distracting. But what is happening right here is bigger because they are being exposed. Let's remember how Trump got elected. He got elected because he said he was going to drain the swamp, right? So let me give you a background on the Democratic Party and the Ukraine over the past, say, 10 years, just a high-level summary. The Barack Obama administration supported a coup to overthrow the government in the Ukraine, and in exactly the same way that this government currently is trying to overthrow the government in Venezuela. Why, they say? Well, because they want it for the people there. No, that had nothing to do with it. This was about opposition to Putin. And there is essentially a war going on between Russia and the Ukraine. And so they supported a coup to oust the government in the Ukraine and establish and install a government that the United States orchestrated, the Democratic Party of the United States. Now, keep in mind, the Democratic Party has become incredibly emboldened and empowered with people that they have running the very agencies that are there supposedly to protect us. The CIA, the FBI, the NSA, all of them are working for these folks. And it is much larger than you realize. There was another coup, and keep this in mind. There are always power structures always battling against each other. If anyone's ever watched The Blacklist, Raymond Reddington from The Blacklist and Trump right now are looking like the same person. So Raymond Reddington does some evil things, but at the same time, he seems to have this good intention in his heart, which you follow and you are endeared by. So you like the character, even though he does some really nasty things. Well, that's very much who Trump is right now. And what Trump is doing and why he's acting the way he's acting with this. Look how calm he is and what he's looking at. The press is telling you that the White House is in complete panic. I don't see panic or detect panic at all in Trump, not even in the slightest. What he is onto is something much, much bigger. And it's why they're trying to react and destroy him before he has completed what he's trying to complete. So now we can get all on the Trump bandwagon right now because Trump is actually trying to drain the swamp. And the reason why they have taken these calls and put these calls on separate servers and why they've tried to protect this information is because there isn't anyone in the federal government that they can trust. There isn't anyone in the media that they can trust, not on Fox News, as you've seen with Judge Andrew Napolitano, where he says it's absolutely illegal. Well, I wanted to continue playing this with Tucker Carlson, so I'm going to do this right now. So now you can then hear what they're saying. And then I'm going to go back. We've got to go back and forth, a little bit here, a little bit there. Precept upon precept is how you have to find these truths. You have to be sly like a serpent and gentle like a dove.
Only got our attention, of course, it's a crime. And so I asked you, because you've prosecuted a lot of crimes, and for our viewers who didn't see it, here's what you said.
Well, I think Judge Napolitano is a fool, and I think what he said today is foolish. No, it is not. Emphatically that nothing that the president said on that call or what we think he said on that call constitutes a crime. And even if he had said, you're not going to get the money, it would not be a crime.
Well, apparently our daytime host who hosted Judge Napolitano was watching last night and was outraged by what you said and, quite ironically, called you partisan. Here's what he said.
A partisan guest who supports President Trump was asked about Judge Napolitano's legal assessment. And when he was asked, he said, unchallenged, Judge Napolitano is a fool. Attacking our colleague who's here to offer legal assessments on our air in our work home is repugnant.
Really? So, yeah, I don't agree with calling anybody any names. I leave that to the foolish out there. So, but what it does show is that when you've got a television station arguing with itself, you know shit's falling apart. So you've just watched Adam Schiff as well give his completely BS depiction as to what took place on the call, and nothing, not even remotely, did it reflect the truth of the call. And as I said, we're going to go through that. And of course, he didn't use it because that would have defeated the purpose. But what are they talking about? So when I talk about suggestion, how do people defend against themselves? I talk about suggesting things. I also talk about projecting things. Well, what are they projecting? What are they accusing Trump of doing? They're accusing Trump of blackmailing and bullying in a mafia style phone call to say, I need you to dig up dirt on Joe Biden. I need you to do something or I'm going to withhold money. Never once did Trump even insinuate withholding money during this call at all. He just simply said that the Ukraine could do more for the country because we're doing lots for it. But the conversation reveals a lot more. Before I play this video, I'm going to read a little bit of this for you. Let's share this. The president, congratulations on a great victory. Now, understand that that coup, remember the coup that was backed by the United States to install an administration in the Ukraine by the Democratic Party here in the United States, by the Barack Obama administration. They installed a government and they thought that government would be there forever because they had propped it up and they had warned Russia and they had helped arm and they were sending all sorts of aid and they were working with all sorts of companies. There are literally hundreds of people within the Barack Obama administration that worked with the Ukrainian government, and even many of them now with a lot of private companies that work with the government in the Ukraine. So what took place there was astounding. That their last election that came up in the Ukraine, they couldn't have ever predicted it. That some talk show host who's literally like the Jon Stewart of the Ukraine wins the election by a landslide and wipes out the previous government. So you have a comedian who never had a debate, never was engaged in politics, is not a politician. He's literally a talk show comedian that was elected to be the president of the Ukraine. And that president is now brand new in office, and Trump calls him to congratulate him on his win and his victory, knowing that something else went on. Because during the entire BS Russiagate scandal, there was always this little thing about the Ukraine and the Democratic Party who was going after the Trump administration and causing the Russia scandal. Well, they were working with some companies that were based in the Ukraine to go after Trump, to try to find dirt on Trump. So see, the Democratic Party was doing what they're accusing Trump of doing on multiple levels. They were actually doing it. The DNC servers that were subpoenaed by the FBI for the investigation, along with Hillary Clinton's. Hillary Clinton's server, she said, we deleted them. They never requested that server from her. They never touched it. They never held it because they didn't want to. They just had to appear like they were coming after Hillary, but they worked for her. But the DNC, the Democratic National Committee's servers, resided in where? The Ukraine. And those servers, when they were subpoenaed to find out, to try to complete the story, because they figured that the Democratic National Committee was rigging the election to beat Trump through this company in the Ukraine. And the oligarch that was ousted by this new comedian, that oligarch that had been put into place by the United States government and established as the government of the Ukraine, they took those servers and they are holding them hostage. So nobody's ever read those emails. So all of the actual evidence about the corruption from the DNC during the election, who they were trying to manipulate the election, and they were saying that Trump was, they were always doing that because they were. I think everybody knows that. But right now, that evidence is coming to a close because Trump was having this conversation. So let's read this. Congratulations on a great victory. We all watched from the United States, and you did a terrific job. The way you came from behind, somebody who wasn't given much of a chance, and you ended up winning easily. It's a fantastic achievement. Congratulations. So that was a very nice opening by the president. He said, you're absolutely right, Mr. President. We did win big, and we worked hard for this. We worked a lot, but I would like to confess to you that I had an opportunity to learn from you. We used quite a few of your skills, knowledge, and were able to use it as an example for our elections. And yes, it was true that these were unique elections. We were in a unique situation that we were able to achieve a unique success. I'm able to tell you the following. The first time that you called me to congratulate me on my presidential election, and the second time you are now calling me when my party won the parliamentary elections. I think I should run more often so you can call me more often and we can talk over the phone more often. So the president laughs. That's a very good idea. I think your country is very happy about that. Now, Well, yes, I tell you the truth. We are trying to work hard because we wanted to drain the swamp here in our country. So this guy, the reason why he was elected is because he was a truth teller. He was telling the truth. He was exposing the corruption in the Ukraine. What corruption? The corruption between the current Ukrainian government and the Democratic National Committee and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. He was exposing these people, draining their swamp there. That's why he got elected. Everyone in the Ukraine was very well aware of that corruption. Somehow here in the US, since 99% of the population watches the BS media, doesn't understand this. So he says, we brought in many, many new people, not the old politicians, not the typical politicians, because we want to have a new format, a new type of government. You are a great teacher for us in that. So it was very nice. Well, it's very nice of you to say that, the president says. And I will say that we do a lot for the Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time, much more than the European countries are doing, and they should be helping you more than they are. Germany does almost nothing for you. All they do is talk and think it's something that you should really ask them about. When I was speaking to Angela Merkel, and she talks Ukraine, but she doesn't do anything. A lot of the European countries are the same way. So I think it's something you want to look at. But the United States has been very good to the Ukraine. So he's correct at that point. I wouldn't say that it's reciprocal necessarily, because things are happening that are not good, but the United States has been very good to the Ukraine. So he's now intimating things aren't really good in the Ukraine with the United States. There is no reciprocity. We've been doing a lot of stuff. Our guys gave you a lot of things and nothing has come in return. Now, what he's talking about is nothing has come in return. Nothing has come in return to the people of the United States, but it has been coming to the United States through individuals into their own personal pockets. So he's exposing something here, and he's being a little bit cryptic about it, but this guy knows because he was a truth teller exposing the corruption of his own government, which is why he was elected. He said, yes, you're absolutely right. Not only 100%, but actually 1,000%. And I can tell you the following. I did talk to Angela Merkel and I did meet with her, and also met and talked with Macron and told them that they're not doing quite as much as they need to do on the issues with the sanctions. So there were sanctions that were in Russia that were impacting the Ukrainian government. So it turns out that even though logically the European Union should be our biggest partner, but technically the United States is a much bigger partner than the European Union. And I'm very grateful to you for that, because the United States is doing quite a lot for the Ukraine, much more than the European Union. So this is getting down into the nitty gritty of this. So the president says, very grateful to you, or this is actually Zelensky, who is the president of the Ukraine. He says, I would also like to thank you for the great support in the area of defense. We are ready to continue to cooperate for the next steps. Specifically, we're almost ready to buy more javelins from the United States for defense purposes. Javelins are handheld rockets that essentially tank killers. So, which is precisely what Russia was bringing into the Ukraine when they were invading them. So it would help them defend against the Russians trying to take over this little piece of their previous Soviet property. So, and the president said, I'd like you to do us a favor though, because our country has been through a lot and the Ukraine knows a lot about it. So he's telling them, you know what we've gone through and you know what took place, because he's been talking about it, which is why he got elected. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with the Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. Now, CrowdStrike is a company. They say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people, one of the oligarchs, the server. He's talking about the DNC servers. So he's after these servers. He's after the information of the people that orchestrated the BS Russiagate to try to take him down so they could keep their people intact and keep their people in charge in the Ukraine and keep their secrets, which reside in the Ukraine. The entire Democratic National Committee and all of the Democrats and all of those in the previous cabal, the cabal that is running this country, the shadow government behind your government that is running things right now. There's multiple things. So don't think that I'm telling you that Trump is good perfectly in this. So as he would say, perfect. But he's talking about the server here. They say that Ukraine has it. He wants that server. There are a lot of things that went on. The whole situation, Trump says, I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the same people. I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the people that are working with our government, the very corruption you're trying to stop. I have a feeling that you might actually be hiring some of these people. I would like to have the Attorney General call you or your people and would like you to get to the bottom of it. As you saw yesterday, the whole nonsense ended up with a very poor performance by a man named Robert Mueller. So he's talking about Russiagate, an incompetent performance. But they say a lot of it started with Ukraine. Yes, it did. Whatever you can do, it's very important that you do it if that's possible. Never once did he say, I'm going to withhold money. Zelensky said, yes, it's important for me as a president. It's very important. And we are open to any future cooperation. We are ready to open a new page in cooperation in relationship with between the United States and Ukraine. Now, you can read this whole thing. I've gone through it a number of times. I promise you that it isn't anything remotely like what they're insinuating. However, let's listen to what they're saying. So this is from January 23rd, 2018. Okay, so this is more than a year ago, and this is Biden speaking about something. Now, before I tell you what Biden is speaking about right here, I'm going to show you. U.S. banking records show Hunter Biden's America-based firm, Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, received regular transfers into one of its accounts, usually more than $166,000 per month from Burisma from spring 2014 through fall 2015. So Hunter Biden, let me kill this. Let me show you what this is right here. What I just read to you, Hunter Biden. So you see, and this is on the Hill on RT. Hunter Biden, who was released from the Navy for cocaine abuse, then is given a job having no experience in energy. He's given a job on the board of directors of an energy company in the Ukraine, at which he personally receives $50,000 per month from this company. And his company receives $166,000 per month from Burisma from the same company. So he receives 50 grand a month for being a board member, and his company receives $166,000 per month from the same company to do whatever. Nobody knows. There isn't any stated agenda. There isn't anything. I can promise you that the guy probably never even attended the board meetings. I've seen this take place before. So nepotism, where somebody needs just somebody to sit on the board for a voting measure. But this was clearly about jobs. Now, this is just one person. Hunter Biden's just one of many people receiving checks from many different companies within the Ukraine, and large ones. In fact, the money that we give them, a large portion of that is to be paid back. So it's kind of like going to the country and go, hey, I'll give you $1 billion. We'll call it aid. But $500 million of it, we're going to funnel back to me and my family and my cronies. So that's what took place. So what they're accusing Trump of is exactly what took place. So let's watch and listen, shall we? This is Biden talking at the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, literally the headquarters of the cabal. Listen to what he says. Gets a little arrogant here.
One concrete example. I was not but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones, so I got Ukraine, and I remember going over convincing our team or others to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was
12 or 13 times to Kyiv. Just so you know, it's called Kiev.
To announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they did.
So he says he got some guarantees from the leaders of that country that they would take action against their own prosecutor. Their own prosecutor was prosecuting somebody in their country for criminal activity in the Ukraine. So imagine this, that somebody, some other country picks up the phone because our attorney general is suing Facebook for violating people's privacy. And another country calls because their son works for Facebook and tells the president, I want you to fire Attorney General Barr because he's prosecuting a company that my son works for. That's essentially what he's talking about. So let's keep listening.
So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was
so you just heard it. That guy is the guy that mafia style went to the Ukrainian government and said, fire your own prosecutor because my son works for this company. And I've convinced and talked to the president. By the way, they said, you can't do that. You're not the president. Really? Call him. So Joe Biden didn't just drop a dime on himself in this, but he just let you know that this conversation and this agenda that he had about having this prosecutor fired in another country for political or financial benefit, forget about political benefit. How about personal financial benefit? That his drug addict son can somehow now have a job and make 50 grand a month. And so he doesn't have to worry about him. But the reality is, this is the man that did that and said that the president also agrees. Just call him. Just call Barack Obama, because he and I are on, we're of one mind, we're of one accord. So
at the time,
he does exactly, precisely what they're accusing Trump of doing. Again, projecting. They are making accusations in the same thing with Russiagate. They were working with Russia, with the Ukraine and the servers. They were working with the Ukraine. The corruption was within these people. The cabal is collapsing, and Trump is going after them, and he can't talk to anybody. They are desperately, desperately trying to get something going. This is their last shot to prevent themselves from all being exposed. That once this does get exposed, everybody's name is going to float to the surface, and everybody will be dropping dime on the next guy saying, I didn't do it. He did. So Biden will say, I didn't do it. Obama did. Trust me, these people are scattering like fleas. So, but here's what I want to warn you about. Because although I can say I support Trump more in this than I've ever supported Trump, because what he's doing is badass and it's brave. However, be careful who you support in things like this, because in the vacuum of the withdrawal of a power structure, the size and the likes of the cabal that we have, that vacuum will be filled by the next cabal. So this is simply an exchange from one abusive cabal to yet another, more abusive cabal. And I don't believe Trump actually knows that he's involved with this. But the reality is the people that are backing him, the organizations, including the Zionists, are allowing this to happen. They are taking over and getting rid of dead weight and old people that know their agenda. They are cleaning house. They are scapegoating their own. One agenda of another cabal is being crushed because they know too much and they've been around too long and they're actually out of hand. They think they're all powerful and they think that they can do whatever they want. Well, they can't. So I'm going to give Trump a lot of kudos here because this takes gonads. The guy clearly isn't very concerned. So even if they actually did impeach him, if they think that for 1 second that guy is going away, they're out of their minds. So what you're looking at is you're looking at the establishment and growing of a war that is going to be much bigger. They are literally running for their lives right now. So I just wanted to give you this little bit of insight into how to look at this, because you're going to start to see the things that I talk about suggestions and innuendo. When somebody doesn't have the truth, they will make a suggestion. The truth doesn't tell you anything. So I've got to suggest something so you can remanufacture that lie in your mind. And we all know there are plenty of people out there that do that. They do that to me. It's funny to watch. It's really interesting that when you know something's taken place and it takes place in front of your face in a different format, in a different way, so visually, I just had to bring that to you. I had to talk to you about that. And as we get more established, we're going to be here for a few weeks, it looks like, here in Pensacola. So I wanted to give you an update. We've got folks back in Arizona that are helping planning the details of the conference. So the conference still has, I think, 4 or 5 seats open. So you can reserve your spot by the link in the description box below. There are still USBs going out. I'm not back, so I haven't gotten, if anything has been returned, I haven't received any of those yet. Some of them are taking longer. They have gotten to Germany in some cases. I've heard they've not gotten to the Netherlands and other places. So be patient, and as give it another week or two. And if they haven't come back, then email me and I'll make sure that we get those out to you. So I see William Kobo says, thank you for the USB thumb drive. Thanks, Brother Derek. Yeah, so people are getting them, but it's very, very odd. Something's happening to the post office. I mailed them at the post office, and the post office is now saying that some of them don't have enough postage, even though it was them that mailed them. So I will continue to work on that and make sure that every single one of you get those. There is some things taking place with this ministry that isn't visible here on Facebook or here on YouTube or any of the other platforms. There are conversations and things that I'm doing behind the scenes, and I can tell you it's all very, very positive and growing and going to establish some new things that that I've always felt needed to happen. So we'll see how that comes out. We've got some great supporters, some amazing people. I wish I could say who they were and tell you more about them. It's just they don't at this stage, they don't wish to be made known, but they are people are increasing their activity with regards to what we're doing, because they do see these things taking place, and they are seeing this world change, and they are feeling that impact them personally in their life. So they want to do what they can to help people in the way that they've also been helped. So I want to thank everybody that does support us for that. And those that are going to come to the conference, we're going to have some great things taking place. I've got some people coming, some different events. I don't want to, I don't want to spoil it for you, but some people that will be coming and speaking, and some people that I've invited, I'm still trying to make happen. And I'll be doing that while we're here as well. I'm hoping to actually, since I'm in Florida, I'm very close to Alabama here. I'm hoping that I'll be able to meet with Joseph Lumpkin while we're out here, and maybe we'll meet halfway or something. But definitely looking to have some great folks and some very interesting things that I think many of you will find very, very, very beneficial to your walk. So I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time, but I'll try to get, if there's any questions or anything. I just wanted to expose those things, because to me, nobody's really talking about it. There's a few people that are on YouTube talking about the things that I just discussed and how it's going to pan out, but I don't think it's going to end in the way that anybody thinks it's going to end. I truly think that the explosion is going to be against the Democratic National Committee, and I believe you're going to see some very large people be. I don't necessarily think that they'll be put in prison, but they certainly will be neutered. I think that it's probably appropriate that some of them go to prison, but the cabal still protects itself. And that's precisely why that once they got word that Trump was digging inside the Ukraine for that server and for those things, they created this whistleblower, which is why they needed a third party, because nobody was on that call with Trump. Nobody from their camp. They needed to say, even if there was nobody that even told this whistleblower anything, they probably found out through their channels within the Ukraine, and they now know that Trump is on their tail, which is why they reacted so quickly. So with that said, I've had a couple phone calls with a few of you subscribers. If anybody has regularly seen Girl with No Name Spooner, I talked with her yesterday. We had a great conversation. I do try to talk with many of you that are going through things and need to talk. I do that as often as I can. Excuse me. And Jose Alvarez says, Derek, is the cabal same as Zionists, same as Zionists? The new cabal will be, but yes, this is where, think about two different divisions in a company, one trying to take over leadership within the company. It's just two divisions within the same company, although that doesn't necessarily mean that the people involved. I think Trump is genuinely trying to. I believe he believes he's doing the right thing. I don't think that he has a nefarious heart per se. He is definitely out for himself, but I don't think that he's out to try to really cause major damage to anyone, unless, of course, they've damaged him. And that way he is Raymond Reddington. So the incredible part is that the show, The Blacklist, has broadcast all of this already. So if you ever want to go back and find out what's happening right now, go back and watch about 2 years of The Blacklist. See if there's any more questions. Did you hear about Ghislaine Maxwell's sister? Dad are tied to companies used for blackmail, Z-Dub says. I have not heard about that yet, but I'm just waiting for any one of those people involved, any single one of those names, to be interviewed by the feds and for them to say something. So they're trying to make that go away. I think that's clear. There's entirely too many powerful people. It will be detrimental to probably both sides of the cabal if they allow those people to be prosecuted. I mean, there's some ridiculous things. The reality is the whole world is being red-pilled right now. Everybody knows that everything that they know to be true is complete BS. So they're learning that. Why are they not talking? William Cabot says, why are they not talking about Scary Joe? They're really not, because it's not that they're protecting Joe Biden. They're protecting themselves, but exposing Joe Biden, just like Joe Biden exposed Barack Obama and the ridiculously loose lips that he has. The man isn't very smart. And so they're just protecting him to protect themselves. They're not protecting Joe. I don't think anybody actually cares about the man. Are you still going to, RJ Love says, are you still going to produce a book for distribution, especially to prisons? Yes, I actually am. In fact, one of the reasons why we're here is I'm going to be writing. So I wanted a different space and a different place to do some writing. And so I'm doing just that. And there's probably going to be 2 or 3 books. Did I hear that Romney has ties to the Ukraine Burisma? Yes, Romney was actually tied to Burisma and a couple different energy companies there as well. So it would make sense that he doesn't want the lists of the board of directors and the people involved with Burisma to be released, which is why he said that it's very, very troubling, the things that he heard in Trump's call. Of course it's troubling, because it could expose him too. Make no mistake about this. This isn't just Democrats, but I can promise you that the vast majority of them are from the DNC and from the cabal and the people of the Barack Obama and the Clintons. William Cabot said that you got here late, so you must rewatch. Yes, definitely have to go back. What is that? Silver Surf Studio, I guess it is. Yes, I've got the volume cranked. I hope the audio is working fine. But I have noticed when you guys have talked about my volume and saying that I need to have a new mic and things like that, so I told you that it's YouTube's issue. I have solved some problems on this end, but I've watched a number of other channels and they're all experiencing the same fluctuations in volume that I have been experiencing. So it's not my microphone. Let's see if there's any more questions. Thank you much. You need it. God bless. Cindy Axe, God bless you. Coming to Florida next week for hopefully life-saving cryotherapy, stage 4 prostate cancer. Prayers, please. And that's Catalin Fix. Definitely, folks. Keep Catalin Fix in prayer. Sending all of you, sending you our healing thoughts, prayers. Let's see, into seeing a lot of butterflies, orange ones, weird timing name. Yes, there are. In fact, Bearded Canuck talking about, are there lots of butterflies, orange ones? Yesterday, I was at a gas station and people were commenting that outside this gas station in this one tree, there were about 3,000 orange butterflies in this tree. And I'm just guessing, but there was a lot, many thousands of them. King Wee says, good to be you, brother Derek. Good to be you. Welsh Warrior, how can I help? I'm not sure what you want to help with. If you want to help with the ministry, you could support us in lots of different ways. You got something to say? Let's come on the show. And I received mine today. Good to know you received your USB drive, Sarah C. Appreciate that. So I won't take up more of your time today. I want to let you go. Malia and I will probably be back. We wanted to do some videos here. We're just getting set up, so please be patient with us. We're just getting our stuff unpacked and getting set up. I was just able to set this up and get this going temporarily. I hope it's okay. Obviously, it's a different location. This is you can't see outside, but this is Malia's home here in Pensacola. It's a very cute little house, great yard. We have Stella here. So this is her original home that she grew up in. She's very happy. Tommy says, just like us, brother, we are not going away either. Nope, not going away. I might change the way I do things. I might change what I'm doing, but ultimately I'm going to be here until what I'm supposed to accomplish is done. And there isn't going to be anything really that changes my attitude. I'm going to tell you right now to not let other people impact you. I know it's difficult. I know we all get attacked. And as you've seen, I have, and you've seen Trump has, and you've seen people, and you see the attributes. Again, follow the attributes, pay attention to suggestions and innuendo and rehearsed things where people have rehearsed their BS. It's quite telling. And as far as what you could do about that, simply pray for them. Edward says, love you, Derek. Thank you for all your insight and understanding. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Cynthia, that blocked your comment, so I made it visible. Obama has a big evil role in all this. Of course he does. Z-Dub says, will Antarctica have any relevance coming to light? Not with regards to this, but there's lots about Antarctica that will come to light. Audie says, is there room at the conference and how much to go? We do not know the complete price yet until I get all of the guests and the rest of the details from the place, which we are finalizing right now of the location that we're booking. We are looking at the first week in November as it is right now, because it's been difficult to get some things done. I'll be giving some updates about that fairly soon, but you can put your deposit down, which goes towards the stay and it shows you right there in the pool for the conference in the description box below this video. So you can do that. Rick Kersey asks me if Michelle Obama's a man. I'll let you do the research on that. Blessings to you and Malia from the light within. I appreciate you. RJ Love says, praise be the Father for revealing the truth every day. I am a global witness. You are a global witness. So with that said, I'll tell you all that I love you very much. And you'll probably you might even see me again today. We'll see. But I'll talk to you soon. Noodle on the things. And what I'll do is also, I'm going to take all of the links of the videos that I've just played, and I will put them in the description box. Give it about 15 minutes when this video comes back up, and those links will be there. That way you'll have access to them. And also to the, in fact, I'll put that's there in Google Drive. I don't need that. I'll also put a link to the unclassified, which was previously classified, phone call of the president. I will put the transcript in there so all of you can read that and hang on to that. Download it, keep it, and hang on to it. You never know when you'll want to go back to it, because they'll remove things. So love to all of you. I love you very much. Thank you for all your prayers and best wishes for our trip across the country. We appreciate it. We are here safely. We love you, and I'll see you very, very, very